Where's the movie critic that usually does these things? I mean, someone's like he just ran away, scared. Face me. If you ever need me, I can take care of him. All right, don't you worry. Oh, what's that? What's that? You thought he was dumb, stupid, and can't do anything? Well, what if I told you it was me? You didn't think it was me now, did you? Well, I got you guys. I got you good.
Who is your hitman? We'll see.
Hold up, please don't let me be misunderstood.
Hitman is directed by Richard Linklater and a screenplay by both Richard Linklater and Glen Powell, nonetheless. I mean, seriously. Glen Powell's now writing screenplays? This guy's trying to branch out now. The film stars Glen Powell, Adria, Arjona, Austin Amelio, Retta, and Sanjay. According to IMDb's plot synopsis, a professor moonlighting as a hitman of sorts for his city police department descends into dangerous, dubious territory when he finds himself attracted to a woman who enlists his service. I'm just gonna say this right off the bat with myself. I am not into rom-coms at all. Seriously, I despise them to this day, especially since, as of more recent years, Hallmark has kind of now become more synonymous with rom-coms than the movies that you see on the big screen these days. And I despise them. I can't stand them. I find them sappy and super corny and so predictable in so many ways. When I saw the trailer for this movie, though, I was immediately interested and it hooked me with that trailer. And I was curious to see what Richard Linklater had cooked up. I mean, this guy has been around for such a long time, has had a lustrous career with something like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, the Before Sunrise, Sunset, Before Midnight trilogy, to, dabbling into some other films, with experimental movies like Boyhood. So this guy has been around for a long time and he has tried dabbling in different types of medias with regards to filmmaking. So when I saw this movie, I gotta be honest, this happens to be, I think, one of the most witty and sharp films that I've seen. Especially for Netflix. Netflix hardly has a lot of amazing films on their streaming service that I was just surprised that, man, you made a movie of quality. That's amazing. I was truly surprised by this film. It took me completely off guard and I had a great time watching this. Here are now my positives with this film. The performances, they're all excellent. Nobody is bad in this movie. Glen Powell is terrific as Gary Johnson, a college professor who becomes an undercover mole with the police department. He is disguising himself as hitmen to arrest people that are hiring him. And Powell knows how to go from being a mild-mannered guy to disguising himself as different hitmen with different personalities altogether. This guy is having the time of his life with this role because he has to play different variations of hitman that are so completely different from one another that it works so well, and he just looks like he's having a ton of fun putting on different costumes and playing different characters that he's trying to convey with his targets. Adria Arjona is seductive and intriguing as Madison Masters, an unhappily married woman who hires Gary to kill her husband. Arjona is somebody that I've been taking notice of recently, with the most recent thing I have seen her in was something like Andor, where she was amazing in that, and in some other projects, but really, she catches the viewer's attention as being kind of unsure of herself. You kind of catch her at a point in her life where she just doesn't know what she's trying to be. She's not sure of herself, to just immediately falling in love with her along with Gary. You kind of become fascinated and very much intrigued by how, once the plot keeps going, how lively she is and how just delightful she can be. Both Powell and Arjona are magnetic and charming together on screen. They are the biggest reason to watch this film because of their chemistry, because of the romance that's presented in this movie, that you just go along with it and you just want to see this relationship blossom. And for that, I really had a good time watching the performances of these two in particular, so much so. The direction is tight. Director Richard Linklater truly keeps the focus on Gary and Gary alone. It's so funny to watch this guy who, and this is kind of loosely based on something like a actual true story, but again, I say loosely. And seeing how this professor of psychology is just outsmarting and outplaying these wannabe criminals as these hitmen, as he's dressed up as them, it was kind of fun to watch. It was kind of exciting to see him just catch them in the fold like that, and kind of hilarious all in the same time. He also knows how to keep the attention of the relationship between Gary and Madison, and that's a good thing because, especially with a rom-com, you have to make sure that your two leads or your male or female co-stars are on sync with each other, and they are on sync throughout the entire point. There's never a moment where you feel like there's a scene where they're phony. And Richard Linklater truly is somebody who has talent with regards to chemistries with co-stars. The writing is sharp. Both Linklater and Powell craft a script that's witty and smart, better than most rom-coms that are out there today. And that's a huge compliment from me because, again, scripts for rom-coms are just very much fluff, very safe, very generic. And this movie actually tried to be almost in a way like a mystery or a thriller with regards to how they go about presenting this. And you're kind of questioning, do you believe in this woman? Do you not? And as the movie progresses, you're like thinking to yourself, like, I really like her, but I don't know. You're kind of just questioning how far this plot that she has for Gary to kill her husband, you're just kind of like, I don't know where this is gonna go. And maybe you could probably pick it up, but man, you cannot deny the dynamic that the script gives to the actors is done very well. The cinematography is stunning. Cinematographer Shane F. Kelly shoots a great looking film that keeps the film focused on the characters at hand and the beautiful look of New Orleans. And I know New Orleans is usually used for tax breaks, and I understand that completely, but it still looks amazing. It truly keeps the film grounded in that regard by making sure that it's not something big or grand, because you know how Netflix usually likes to do that. No, they keep it very much like a small little story, a small little romance story in a way that doesn't try to be all big or fancy. It's trying to just be charming and fun. The music is great. Composer Graham Reynolds makes a score that captures the film's tone and style, a mixture of comedy and a thriller added into the mix, because again, you don't know where this story is going. So for Graham Reynolds to capture both the stylings of a rom-com but throw in a little bit of suspense with the music, I think adds a lot to what the film is truly going for. The story is interesting. Following this guy as he's disguising himself to catch criminals, only to fall in love with one, made for a romantic, funny, and at times intense film, and it just made for a fun experience overall. That is something that's truly much a huge shock to me because, again, I'm not a huge fan of this genre, but for both Linklater and Powell to craft this story out with the script that they are working with, that's amazing. It truly is just amazing all around. The production is incredible. The costumes that Powell wears are goofy and outlandish. It's so convincing to anybody that watches this. Like, sure, it's dumb, it's stupid, but man, oh man, you cannot help but laugh half the time whenever you see Powell wearing silly, ridiculous get-ups. But it's funny to watch these people just fall for it. But the costumes work because you buy it. You buy that this guy is playing these different roles to fake people that you don't know what hitmen are, or rather, not really knowing that like a hitman doesn't usually look like this, but people buy into it, and that's the fun part. And it just really shows the hard work and dedication that Linklater and co really put into emphasizing how outlandish this plot can be. The pacing and runtime is perfect. Each scene feels consistent and keeps the movie going. With a runtime of 1 hour and 50 minutes, it feels just right. I'm glad that this is not elongated, because sometimes rom-coms can blow out its budget for the big finale, and we all know what that's gonna mean. Guys going to the airport, girls going to the airport, they have to catch them and stop them, and they fall in love and fix their relationship when it was broken. Not this movie. This movie, I was surprised that this movie was as good length as it is for it to be like, that's enough and that's good. Don't need any more. That's that's perfect enough at like at least close to 2 hours. That's all right with me. The editing is quick. As scene switches, the editing keeps the film fast and loose in a good way. It complements how the film is supposed to be, very much of this sort of snappy, witty type of rom-com, but with a dash of, like I said, of a tiny bit of thrill aspects to it. There is only one issue with this movie that holds it back for me for being perfect. It's so close. It is so close to being damn perfect, but here is now the only negative. The husband's involvement feels minimal, and this is Madison's husband that she wants Gary to kill. Once, like, Gary, and I guess this is mild spoilers, once Gary helps Madison kind of steer clear from him, the husband's contribution doesn't really show back up until halfway through the movie, which is a little bit disappointing. That I think that they could have maybe tweaked a bit. I think they could have added more to him and his involvement in what he could have added to the film, but I just kind of felt like they wanted to get to the romantic plot of between Gary and Madison, that the husband's involvement just kind of feels like, oh, we forgot about this. Let's put this back in so that way we can just wrap up this story and complete it. And I understand when you're trying to focus on one thing, but yeah, that's one area that I think they could have tweaked a bit. Aside from that, I easily enjoyed this film. Hitman delivers on a hilarious and romantic story that would be enjoyed by couples, and I honestly think this is a perfect date film. If you're scrolling through Netflix, if you're looking to watch something, I think couples would like this movie. So I'm gonna give Hitman a 9 out of 10. I thought it was an amazing film. Definitely a huge surprise to me, and I very much really did find myself thinking, wow, this is of worth. This is of talent and merit. It's surprising because, again, Netflix kind of is like hit or miss a lot of times, a lot of misses maybe, but no, this is worth merit, you guys. So if you can, check it out. I think you'll have a ton of fun. So now I will be reviewing the Inside Out movies, with Inside Out 1 leading to when I saw Inside Out 2. So yes, look forward to those reviews and other movie TV show reviews coming soon.